remember we walked through the terminal at the airport there, and it was like one of those surreal moments when we were walking towards our flight, and everywhere I looked I saw myself on the front cover because the newspaper is really popular.
Yeah.
So wherever I looked I saw myself on the front cover of the newspaper, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming a rock star.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time, with all the other things I had experienced up until that point, that was the first time it really kind of hit me, and I'll never forget how it felt like to walk through that terminal. Pretty special.
Yeah,
Hi there, I'm the Commander-in-Chief, 7-string guitarist, singer, songwriter in classical, crossover, heavy metal and acoustic music. Today I'm here with my manager Elisabeth. She is my mother, vocal coach, and she makes my music videos. So the YouTube channel, the Commander-in-Chief one, is in many ways our YouTube channel. We've been a 2-woman team since the very beginning when we started out on MySpace back in 2008, and we've done everything ourselves, building it up from the ground up.
Yeah, we have, and thank you for that kind introduction. We have experienced so many things, but we built up Berit's career alone from scratch with no budget, no connections, nothing. I came from the world of classical music. She wanted to start out in heavy metal. I didn't know anything about that world at all, but we worked really hard and we used social media to build up everything. Then you've been featured in all the biggest music magazines, all the biggest guitar magazines in the world. You have had viral videos on YouTube. And you've been on big TV shows. I remember your first big Saturday Night Live talk show.
See, that's like a whole other level of incredible, because it's so amazing when you get to
go into a production and 40 people are working on that show.
So amazing, like that is like a whole other level, because being part of a big production, you have so many people involved. Everything is everything is so on schedule. I mean, everything is so well organized, and you get looked after so well. So that is something that I would never have thought that I would ever experience, because you don't see metal artists experience this type of thing. So that it's like you're kind of crossing over a bit into pop culture, and that's really awesome.
Your first festival was a very big festival, and they gave you the slaughter lamb spot at noon, thinking that you wouldn't attract any people, and thousands of people came to the tent, and it was packed throughout the whole set, and the people loved it, and you had such a long line of people wanting autographs and so many interviews. So I think that the establishment in the metal industry was kind of, whoa.
I don't think they liked them much.
I think they didn't like us much, because we were different. I don't think they liked us at all, and that's okay. We didn't like them either. So I liked your fans, and I liked the metal people who had. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just back for lunch and I'm off again.
Okay. There was a lot of radio hosts, journalists who worked for small and medium-sized metal magazines, online magazines, radios that were super nice.
Super nice.
Super nice. Always respectful, supportive. So we met a lot of really nice people in the world of heavy metal, but not the really big ones. I'm not talking about the artists.
I would say more like the movers and shakers.
Yeah, the movers and
it's
shakers.
The same thing, it's a very small number of people making all the major decisions.
Yeah, it's very few people, and
And you can
anyway, so and then you were invited to play at Metal Hammer had its festival in Wales in February. And you were invited to play, and they gave you an even more horrible slot. I think it was even earlier in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was on a Sunday or something, so everybody was hungover.
Everything was bad.
And it was really, and we came there, and it was, lodging and everything was taken care of. Yeah, it was trailers. It was a trailer park, a holiday park. We go there, and it's February, and the heating doesn't work in the trailer. We are freezing our asses off, and Berit has been put on a very early slot. I think it was either a Saturday or something.
It was like one of the worst times of
the worst slots. We were freezing, and Berit had like all this pile of duvets on her, because she was the one who needed to be well rested, and her fingers and all, and her voice, because she can't be too frozen when she plays really fast. And you were playing incredible riffs and lead guitar at blistering speed, and singing impossible vocal lines at the same time. And you're freezing. It's a big challenge. There's no heating. The heating doesn't work. So, and we come up next morning, we're dead tired, we are frozen, it's been a horrendous night. We go in there, and I think they planned that there wouldn't be anyone there that early. So, because they kind of like doing this to you. They didn't treat you well. So Berit goes on stage, and it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's early morning. But the most interesting, the press pit was full.
Yeah.
It was absolutely full. And I had timed it because there were so many requesting interviews with Berit. So I don't know, how many interviews did you do
I
afterwards?
can't remember, but it was like when
I
it's
think-
like when you watch like a movie from showbiz.
It
you
was
have all of
between
these interviews,
15
you
and
know.
20 interviews,
Yeah.
and they had this and this many minutes to each of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was anyone else who had that many interviews, because
No,
I
it
was
was
watching the
incredible.
others the whole day, and they
Yeah.
were sitting around and they had one or two. You had one interview after the other,
Yeah.
and it was so many people, and you were so popular. People loved it. It was fun. You took so many pictures with people afterwards, and so many autographs, and we were selling merch and all. It was fantastic. The response was fantastic. The interviews were fantastic. But so that was in February, and then I got a request from the biggest cultural festival in Scandinavia. It happens in Bergen, her hometown, where she was born, because I studied economics there. So I happened to live there when she was born. And so they were having this festival. It lasted for 2 or 3 weeks. Every year the Queen or the King opens it up. It's very big, and it's a highly cultural festival. It's like theatre, it's classical concert. I remember seeing Barbara Hendricks singing, music there, when you were a baby. And it's all the symphony, and it's ballet, but it's also rock and roll. It's a lot of other things, but that's side projects. But the festival itself always have a wildcard. Every year they have somebody that is absolutely different from everything. I didn't know that at that time, because we had lived abroad for years. So, and I didn't know that Berit was the wild card. We didn't know you were kind of the sore thumb sticking out. They were having this thing with, was it 7 guitar players?
I can't remember.
6 or 7 guitar players who were born in Bergen, and were all top professionals in their field. You had a jazz guy, you had a soul and funk guy, you had a classical guitarist, you had all these blues guitarists, and they were inviting all of them to do a joint concert together in a very posh theatre, the Loge.
Yeah, really.
It's a very posh. Bergen is a very posh city. It really is. So, and you were invited as the heavy metal guitarist, and you had never done a jam session in your life.
Never done a jam session, and I've never done something that upscale either.
And you were playing 7-string guitar at that point.
Yeah, I must have. Yeah.
Yeah, and
right.
but this is the thing. So February we had been to this horrible thing in Wales, freezing our hinds off. Weren't paid anything, but just having the exposure and all. And then just a couple of months later, we are they pay for the flight.
Yeah.
There's a driver picking us up at the airport. We come to the hotel and check in, and there's an assistant. Not only for Berit, she was dealing with several artists, but there was an assistant we could call any time who would take care of any needs that Berit had. And then there was a huge TV camera following Berit pretty much the whole time, because the biggest TV station in Norway was going to do an interview with you for a documentary about women in music.
Yeah.
And so you were like today's role model, and they were looking at, because it was 100 years since women got the right to vote or something like that. And so they wanted to do, you were you were the tough metal girl, the role model for other women. So they came to the rehearsal. You had never, so the first time you ever jammed, the first time you ever played blues, you had a big ass TV camera and a crew filming you at the rehearsal.
Yeah, no pressure.
The next day when it was this whole thing happened, everything was filmed and all. And I remember, because there was some of the older people in the audience who were like 78 years old, came up and said, "Oh, we thought you were the best because it was so cool." And you really, that you did your metal shredding in the jam and everything, it was so cool.
Yeah.
But and then you were paid, and we were treated like,
treated really well.
We were treated
Had a
so
nice
well.
Hotel room.
Yeah, very good
everything
hotel
was
room, good food, everything was perfect. We went next morning we go down to the corner store to 7-Eleven, and what do we see on the front page of the local newspaper? Berit, the star of the day. And you know, she's on TV, she is in the media, and we were sitting there on the way back and we were like, okay, heavy metal, ice cold trailer, no payment, no, you know, no real, you know, good treatment. The world of more cultural, you know, with hotel and flight and everything paid for, and you get paid and you get press. Maybe we should we continue for 20 years before they finally give you a headline slot in the world of heavy metal? But you know, if the same bands who still headline are still playing, you're still not going to do it in 20 years, even though they're going to be 100. Or should we cross over to something else?
Yeah.
So that was an eye-opener.
Airport there,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like one of those surreal moments when we were walking towards our flight, and everywhere I looked I saw myself on the front cover because the newspaper is really popular.
Yeah.
So wherever I looked I saw myself on the front cover of the newspaper, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming a rock star.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time, with all the other things we had experienced up
Yeah.
until that point, that was the first time it really kind of hit me, and I'll never forget how it felt like to walk through that terminal. Pretty special.
Yeah, because you saw the newspaper was on all the stands.
Yeah, all the stands I saw myself. Was like,
I remember when we went through security.
Yeah.
I remember when we went through security because it was a bit difficult with your guitar and your bullet belt and all. I remember I took the newspaper and I showed it to the security guy.
Yeah, and then he
Remember
got
that?
embarrassed because
because I said, hey, that's her bullet, but look at the picture, and he was like, oh my god, I didn't know that.
He looked really embarrassed. And then
I
he
didn't
just
know you
said
were
he could
famous.
go
That was the only time I pulled that one.
That was funny.
That
was an amazing moment, really. It's like there are some moments that really kind of
And that's when
out.
we sat down and started working on, seriously, it's time to do maybe a classical crossover.
Yeah.
So, but in the middle of this whole thing, we have been told many times we should have a YouTube channel together. And I have talked about it many times, and now I want to have my own YouTube channel because I have a lot of stories to tell. I've had a very colourful life, to say the least. But we decided now that it was the right time to do that after we actually recorded and shot the video for her song The Manager, which is about to be released this week. Because then we have a music video where I'm not only behind the camera, I'm also in front of the camera, and people see us interact. And it's a good timing now to start talking to people about other things than music, but it will also be music-related things that we talk about.
It's very difficult to not end up talking a lot about music because it is sort of the most dominant aspect of everything.
It has been the family business for 12 years.
And it becomes that way because, I mean, I didn't know when I said that I wanted to become a musician that it is the equivalent of starting your own business. So it's pretty tough because, you know, you are building a business from the bottom up, you're building a brand, which is something that I think a lot of people would probably not even be interested in getting into music if they knew that is what it is like, because it is very, 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 very tough. So it becomes such a dominant part of your life that I kind of feel like when I started my written blog, you know, it was not supposed to be about music, and then all of a sudden I was only writing about music. And if I look at, you know, the other blog as well that I started, you know, I thought, oh, it's going to be about all sorts of things that has nothing to do with music, but there are links there to all sorts of videos that we've done, streams we've done, where we're talking about what we're doing. So, you know, when you do something like this, it becomes very difficult to not talk about it all the time.
I dry my tears and sniffle, can't just laugh, just tear me down. You know the sadness